Let's take questions for head coach Matt Painter. Whoever's ready, go ahead.
The production you got off the bench.
Right.
Jenkins, Trey, everybody there.
Yeah, I thought, Brady got in foul trouble. I thought David did a really good job of coming in and, just making plays, being solid, knocking down some shots, made his free throws, hit both of his threes. Brandon Newman made those 2 free throws at the end. We subbed him in to switch 5 ways, but also have a better free throw shooter. In the game, Trey Kaufman ran going 4 for 4, and really, being able to score on that low block and giving us a threat when Zach's out. And then Mason had the best plus minus. I thought he did a lot of little things. We rewarded him, and starting the second half, I also I was worried they weren't able to go big because, Reed got in foul trouble in that first half, but I was worried about starting Caleb and then bringing Caleb out when Reed was coming in and then we're smaller. I liked it offensively, I didn't like it defensively. So we started him trying to kind of match Caleb with Taurus Reed, and then we could put Caleb on Hunter and then put Zach, on Taurus Reed when he came in. So it worked. Mason hit that big 3, and but he did a lot of little things for us. But our bench was great.
Trey's been struggling to put the ball in the hole, but
Right.
can this lead to something bigger for him?
Yeah, you hope so. To his defense, he doesn't play a lot of minutes either. So you're asking for production in short minutes, and I don't think that's fair. But I think it's really good for more or less his sanity because he's a good player. And he just happens to play behind someone who's having a fabulous year, and then we match up a lot of times, and we don't see that big lineup like they had. We see more of a face-up 4, with the teams that we play. Not always, but most of the time.
How comfortable is David playing the point? And obviously he got 14 minutes in the first half because of Braden being out, and it seems like he's more and more comfortable when he gets those extended minutes.
No question. Everybody's more comfortable when they get extended minutes, but they only give you 200 minutes. And it's hard, right? You play well, and then you still don't play as much. Then in the second half, when we go back with Braden there, so that's a difficult chore when you're a player, especially when you play well and do that. But he did a really good job. It's very similar. His impact on the game was very similar to Ohio State's. You get into a close game, but like the things that he did, he went 3 for 3 from 3. You could look at it as the difference. He goes 2 for 2 tonight, but he also did a lot of little things to help us. So I'm happy for him.
A lot of the big buckets in the second half is Braden Smith getting to the basket. Is that something you guys saw at the halftime, tell him to adjust, or just him reading out on that?
That's him. Yeah, it's the thing that they have to kind of understand is those guys will play ball screen D, but they don't like, no different than us. Like, we don't like getting detached from Hunter Dickinson. Like, we want to stay with him, but we got to stop the ball, right? They don't want to. They got to stop the ball, but then they want to stay with Zach. Now they stop the ball, and then Zach's diving, getting lobs, or getting those little short roll passes, and so it's hard. So now you got to keep attacking because you don't know when they're going to kind of fake or bluff and go back, and then you can go get your. You got to go get your layups. You got to hold them accountable there. If you hold them accountable and they stop you, now that opens up a lot of help getting pulled in. You can get those kick out threes. You can get those dives. So it was great to see him attack the rim, as the game progressed.
Speaking of Hunter, rotations when doubling him in the post seemed pretty good today. How did you feel you guys did against him?
We made mistakes, last year staying with the double and, just stayed with it too long. So when he was going to dribble out, we're going to try to bounce off and then get back. He can still dribble down at that point, which he did a little bit, not a lot, but, I thought he played a pretty good game. Obviously, half of his shots are from the 3. So it's a little different because now we're full rotating. We're trying to go get him. We're getting back to our man sometimes. Just didn't want it to consume us. You know what I mean? Like you got to know it's there, but his meat and potatoes are on that block. And so we wanted to kind of throw some different looks at him and make it hard. With him, it's kind of easy for him, right? He had the one turnover that was, unlike him. But for the most part, he knows what the heck's going on out there. He can wheel and deal. He's a really good player.
How impactful was the technical where they take a 22-20 lead, Fletch goes to the line, hits 2 free throws, and then you go on a 15-0 run shortly after that?
Yeah, so. I didn't realize that, but it's one of those things, and from an emotional standpoint, like you can show emotion, you can't show emotion towards people, so it's I don't know, it's because you're going to have your own players do the same thing. It's an emotional game, it's a competitive game, so but that's why that's what they're calling. So right away I went to our guys and said, like, hey, if you even come close to it, they'll even that out real quick. So don't show emotion towards anybody, or just kind of stay reserved and stay grounded and keep playing.
Matt, with Fletcher Lawyer, to have a freshman who's like so steady and
Yeah.
getting better as it goes on, how rare is that?
It's really rare, especially to have two guys like that. To have those guys that, they're not scared of the moment. Fletch is somebody that's played better in second halves, and he's played better on the road. And he scored 27 at home in a game. He's played well at home too, but he's really stepped up on the road and had some really good games for us. Made his free throws today. But no, we're very, very fortunate to have him. Both of those guys have a lot of winning qualities.
And Zach early was unstoppable, 15, and then relatively quiet in the second half. What was the difference?
Right. I think they got him out a little bit more, and they got him bottled up, and he's kind of dribbling. We saw he had about 3 different possessions where it's like a pinball alley. The ball's just flying over. He's trying to collect it, then he throws the one away. And but I thought they did a better job of getting him out. If you can fight, Hunter and Taurus Reed have the physical ability. We go against a lot of people that don't have the physical ability to do it, so they just foul us. I thought tonight they did a pretty good job on him. They worked him, but they also, Hunter's a mountain of a man, and so he's able to do the same thing. And see, the thing that's different is Hunter Dickinson's going to stay in the game, whereas Hunter and Zach face a lot of people that just foul them because they're dispensable. And now they're the backup or they're the next guy, but those starters don't do that. But then if they can't handle them physically, they're stuck right there. And so I thought it was a good game for both of those guys because Zach wants to stay in, obviously, and we want him to stay in, and they want to keep Hunter in the game.
Going off of that, how did you think that Zach handled some of the stuff that Michigan tried to do to him defensively? Some of the lines they tried to put him in the user.
Yeah, well, I thought he did a great job in the first half. He, just establishing himself to start the game, going to his right shoulder and using his left hand. I thought that was great. Those moves there. He's got a nice little spin where he can turn there and be able to make that play with his left hand. He made 4 baskets with his left hand tonight, which is huge because now when you go to scouting, if you just want to play that left shoulder, he's able to go the other way and make that. But I thought they did a good job in the second half. You get those post ups, then you get the repost, and that's awfully hard on the repost if you can get it back in there to keep him from getting deep right there. The same with Hunter. When Hunter gets bottled up and he throws it back out, now when they dig back in, that's a really hard cover.
Matt, you've talked about at times this year how every team is going to play Zach a little bit differently, and that he has to kind of read it and understand as the game goes on. For the guys around him, what type of awareness do they have to have in recognition of how teams are defending Zach as well? Yeah,
no question. And it's also, what we do, who we dive, who we cut through, who we hold. So we try to do different things out of different plays just to mix up so the rotation guys are different. And I think that's the one thing that causes us the most problems. So anything that causes you problems, you try to flip it, right? And you do the same thing on the other end of the court. So that's all we try to do is get him into a rhythm, get him to establish his pivot foot. Sometimes it's deep enough. Sometimes, he's got to dribble into it, and that's a little bit different. And so you got to be able to pick up the basketball and make plays. And if they convert and they come after you, you got to pick up the basketball and make a simple play. But I thought they did in the second half. I thought they did a good job. He's got to be careful when he's up the lane. Like Hunter has that Sigma, open when he opens up and shoots the basketball from like 10 to 15 feet in there. And for a lot of people, that's not a good shot. That's a good shot for Hunter. He doesn't have that. So like now he gets into that. We really, when people come right there, we really try to dive and get something out of that. And he becomes a passer, which I'm not giving away any secrets. It's pretty obvious what we do.
Last one, Keith.
Maryland game, you had a lead going into halftime, vanishes in the second half.
Yep.
Today you have a lead, you push it on the road.
Right.
What were you able to do in the second half?
Yeah, we just didn't turn the ball over as much. We didn't allow Michigan, how many, the fast break points. We gave a handful of baskets to Maryland. I shouldn't say gave because, they obviously were playing defense and getting steals, but we turned the basketball over too much. And even though 12 is not a great number, it's much better than 15. Like those plays when they got in there and were able to get those steals, like that really gave Maryland momentum. Just passing and catching, being simple. I talked to them before the game about hitting singles. Just hit singles, man. Quit trying to always hit home runs. Take what the defense gives you. And I thought that was the difference in the game against Maryland and how it became so close was our inability just to pass and catch and do simple things.
Thank you guys. Thanks.